welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. Roy Beckford became the director of UVM Extension and Associate Dean of the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences in 2021. Over the last few years, Roy has immersed himself in Vermont culture and the culture and programs of the University of Vermont Extension to become a champion for farmers, 4-H'ers, and food producers from Barton Village to the village of Brattleboro. Welcome back Across the Fence, Roy.
Thank you so much.
This is the first time we've had a chance to speak, but before we jump into our conversation, I actually have to announce some exciting news for the Extension family.
Okay.
Reporter Ben Willis actually just welcomed his new daughter into the family, Zora Maeve Willis, and it's him and his wife, Katie, who's actually a UVM Cals alum. So exciting news for the Extension family.
Absolutely, and we have probably a few more to announce coming up in the next few months, but this is exciting news indeed.
Yeah, it's great news, and as a father and grandfather yourself, I can't exactly speak to what makes a great father, but do you have any tips for Ben?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm that skilled as a father or grandfather. I have a 2-year-old grandson, but patience and being helpful and getting in there and helping with his wife and with Zora is going to be great. Just having fun, and time is going to slip away. So, enjoy every single moment.
Make the most of it, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so to jump in a little bit to your work, to get a little more serious, you're the co-chair of the Ag Recovery Task Force, and that's focusing a lot on the flooding that happened in Vermont over last summer. Can you give me an update on how that's working?
Sure. As everybody know, we did have some very significant flooding in July of 2023. There is more than an attempt to make sure that we understand how to prepare for and recover from these emergency issues, these disaster issues, so to speak. I'm co-chair with Nicole Dubuque of the Agency of Agriculture. And one of the things that we're doing here is to assess exactly how we responded and to figure out how much better we can actually respond to all these crises issues next time around, because there will be, of course, many next time around.
And we talked a little bit about, of course, it being over the summer, but there has been a lot more flooding recently. Have you been focusing on any of the December flooding as well?
We haven't yet kind of collectively spoken about the issues over December, January, but this is certainly one of those. We'll be doing that in our next meeting, which is coming up in a week or so.
Okay, and you mentioned your co-chair, Nicole Dubuque.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about how UVM Extension has been working with the Agency of Ag, Food and Markets to help Vermonters?
Well, the Agency of Ag has been a collaborator and very integral part of what we do in Extension. We partner on a variety of issues, dealing with any issue in agriculture and any issue pertaining to ag and natural sciences. And so we're indelibly linked over the years, and I think this will continue for a long time to come.
And you've worked in bigger states than Vermont, like Florida and North Carolina. Is the relationship that UVM Extension has with the Agency of Agriculture unique to Vermont?
I think the difference in the state of Vermont is that we're a smaller state, certainly, and we, as a consequence of that, we're closer to the decision makers in the Agency of Agriculture. The Secretary of Agriculture in the state of Vermont, Anson Tibet, has become not just a collaborator, but a very good friend. And he reaches out proactively to see where we are, what's going on, and I do the same. And so the relationship is great. In the bigger states, it's very, very difficult to kind of get through the bureaucracy and try to navigate conversations as organically as we've been having in the state of Vermont.
So you'd say you have a pretty close relationship with the organization?
Absolutely, more than a doubt, we do.
All right, and you're going to a conference soon in Tucson. I believe it's the Climate Convening Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me why this is important from an extension level all the way up to the U.S.?
Extension, as an organization across the United States, has never really dealt cohesively with the issue of climate change, which is obviously a matter that needs to be dealt with. And so what this is about, what this conference is convening extensionists and other people, other interest groups, so that we can actually work out a way that we can deal with this issue and have a organized approach to climate change education within the organization of Extension across the entire United States. And this, of course, will run across the 1862 universities, the 1890s, and then 1994. There are three levels or versions of the land grant system. These are the three. So we want to make sure we bring everybody to the table, have a very coordinated and organized way of looking at this issue, which affects every single person in the world.
All right, and changing topic a little bit, right now it's famously one of the colder parts of the year, but soon we'll be moving on to sugaring season. What does Extension have on tap for that?
Oh, goodness me. I mean, sugaring season, of course, is almost like a holiday within a work schedule. We have many people in the state who depend on us and the expertise we have in Extension. Mark Isselhart is our maple specialist. And he's just ubiquitous. He's just everywhere, and I don't know how he does it. Driving around these treacherous roads, the mud and the snow and all of that. But he has expert knowledge on every aspect of the production of our maple trees, maple bush management, all of the issues that impact maple, invasive species, tapping, all of that. So wherever the maple farmer is, they know who to contact. They know how to reach us. Mark spends his time between the Morrisville Extension Office and the Proctor Maple Research Center, and runs a gamut of programming and consultations from those two entities. And so that's the way to reach Mark. He's just one of those wonderful assets to Extension that we cannot do without.
Absolutely. So a lot on the way this coming spring.
Absolutely.
And UVM Extension works very closely with 4-H, and a lot of 4-H wouldn't happen without Extension educators, and 3 of them are actually just recognized by the National Association of Extension for 4-H Youth Development Professionals. Can you tell me about who won? Who was recognized?
Oh yeah, we have a few people. Names are going to elude me right now as I'm speaking.
We have Molly, Martha, and Liz.
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to have big problems with names.
No, that's all right.
And forgive me if they're watching this. But these are very hardworking people. 4-H is not easy. As I've always said, it's one of those jobs in Extension that, even though I shouldn't say this publicly, it's not one of those things that I would readily do because the burnout rate, the nights, the weekends would be very, very difficult. And these folks are very important assets to Extension that we just adore because of their dedication to the work, dedication to the students, to 4-H students, and we're just happy to have them. And they do deserve every award and every recognition they get.
And some people that we actually recently spoke with here on Fence were 4-H Olivia Russo and the Essex and Orleans County 4-H educator, Lindy Birch. And Livia was the 4-H livestock ambassador for Vermont. Can you talk about why 4-H is so important to UVM?
So many people don't know this, but even before I get to the issue of 4-H relevance to UVM, 4-H was one of those programs that Extension agents used 100 years ago to get farmers to adopt seeds and varieties and different breeds of animals and so on, because farmers were reluctant to adopt ideas in early years of Extension. And so when these clubs were formed, and we had 4-H kids adopting these things, their parents became, obviously, very, very, amazed at some of the things they saw their kids growing and producing and so on. And it became a very, very good way of actually getting farmers to adopt things within Extension as a whole. In Vermont, which is a pioneer in Extension, certainly a pioneer in 4-H, we see 4-H as integral and important to everything we do. We involve our 4-H community to every extent, and we want to make sure that this continues.
All right, and we have one more person to recognize, Heather Darby. She received the 2023 Hubert Volkman Award for Excellent Research and Scholarship, and she's an agronomist, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, with UVM Extension. And Darby is the first Extension professor at UVM to receive this honor. and she's been featured on Fence a lot. So we're excited to hear that. For congratulations to Heather. And how much does Extension contribute to research at UVM when it comes to programs and projects like that?
First of all, this is well deserved by Heather Darby. I mean, she is one of those people that's highly visible. Her work is well known across the country. I knew about Heather Darby before I came to Vermont, and I was at the University of Florida in the early years. But she has so many collaborators and so many large grants and doing applied research, to answer the question that you asked specifically. Research in extension usually takes a form of applied research. It's not basic research if somebody comes up with an idea, even though that happens. But one of the features of Heather that Heather does is to take an idea and apply it in a research environment on a farm, grow the crop, grow the variety, do the various things there to look at impacts, environmental impacts, disease, growth patterns, whether it's feasible for a farmer to adopt it. That's what we call applied research. And then farmers could come out and have a direct look and become excited about something that they see on that research farm. As a consequence, what we realize is that extension using this strategy is an environment for really great adoption rates by the people that we target, farmers and others.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to see you, and you're doing a great job and across the fence, and we look forward to years of you doing this.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it too. And that takes care of Across the Fence for today. My sincere thanks to the WCAX crew who works behind the scenes here at Channel 3. I'm Jolie Whitney. Have a good one.